Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Fireside Chats with Dave. My name is Dave Moore. I'm the museum manager here at the McKeesport Regional History and Heritage Center. And this week, we're going to focus on a topic that's probably rather familiar to most McKeesport natives, but one that we haven't covered on our Fireside Chats before, and that is going to be the presidents in McKeesport and the Mon Valley. And as you can tell, I am not sitting at my desk today. I'm actually standing within the exhibit itself here at the Heritage Center. So if you are interested in the stories I'm about to tell you, make sure you come down to the Heritage Center and check out this exhibit for yourself. There's some really cool stories. There's some really cool artifacts on display. And I'd love for you to come down and take a look at them. So I'm going to jump right into it, and let's talk a little bit about the presidents in McKeesport. We have had 45 presidents in the history of the United States of America, and roughly 35 of them have visited Western Pennsylvania at one point or another. And we can very safely guess that roughly 7 presidents have been to McKeesport proper. And another has had a significant relation to McKeesport. So one of the most prominent presidents that has visited our area, our town, is none other than George Washington. And George Washington would have been the first president to have visited Western Pennsylvania and visited McKeesport. And he did it a number of years before he was actually president. In 1749, he was just a young lieutenant for the Virginia militia. He was eventually promoted to major, and he came under the guidance of the governor of Virginia up through Western Pennsylvania, through present-day McKeesport and Braddock, on a trip up to Fort Le Boeuf near Erie, where he met with the French and representatives of the Native American tribes in the area to try to broker a peace over the Ohio River Valley. And of course, for those of you that don't know, that meeting did not work out incredibly well, and it led to the French and Indian War in the years following, which then, of course, led to the American Revolution and the birth of the United States of America. Overall, we believe that George Washington has been in Western Pennsylvania on 7 separate occasions. But that very first one, he did travel right through McKeesport, and he actually spent some time with the local Native American tribe headed by none other than the infamous Queen Aliquippa, who was a chiefess of the local Mingo Seneca tribe in the area. So George Washington has a huge history here in McKeesport and in Western Pennsylvania, and we highlight all of his visits in our exhibit here. The other major president that didn't visit McKeesport but has very strong ties to it is none other than the great emancipator Abraham Lincoln. Excuse me, Abraham Lincoln. Now, Lincoln never physically stepped foot in our town. He never stepped foot in Western Pennsylvania as far as we know. But we do know for a fact that 4 soldiers from McKeesport carried the wounded president from Ford's Theater that night to the boarding house across the street, where he would eventually pass away the following morning. And those individuals were none other than William Sample, Jacob Souls, Jacob Griffiths, and John Corey. Those 4 gentlemen were part of Thompson's Battery C, and just happened to be in Ford's Theater that night, taking in the show of My American Cousin, when the president was fatally wounded by John Wilkes Booth. And these 4 soldiers, as well as an army doctor that was in attendance, carried the wounded president from Ford's Theater to the house across the street. And this image is perfectly encapsulated by Carl Bursch, who created a painting known as Born by Loving Hands. And we have a copy of that painting hanging here in the museum that you can come and check out, and highly recommend it. The other 2 presidents that are major influence to our area are none other than John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. Several other presidents have passed through McKeesport, have some sort of ties to McKeesport, including William McKinley, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, Harry S. Truman. But John Kennedy and Richard Nixon have a immense history when it comes to this town, particularly John Kennedy. In 1947, both of these gentlemen were freshman congressmen, of course, Kennedy representing Massachusetts and Nixon representing California. And they were both on opposite sides of the aisle fighting over a labor bill known as the Taft-Hartley Act, which the Republican side wanted to see the unions, especially the unions in the steel and iron industries, weakened, whereas the Democrats on the other side of the aisle were looking for more protections for workers and the expansion of unions. And the topic came to debate here in McKeesport, which at the time in 1947 was a thriving business district with National Tube, Tin Plate, and of course all the other mills in the Mon Valley. So there was no better place for these two future presidents to come and debate this act than right here in McKeesport at the Penn McKee Hotel. And depending on who you ask, a lot of people were in attendance, some still alive that remember the day, and many who were there believe that future President Nixon won that particular debate. But the two gentlemen actually shared a train back to Washington that night and bonded over their love of politics and baseball. And that story is fictionalized in a book called The Capitol Limited, which was the name of the train that the two took back to Washington, D.C. after their debate here at the Penn McKee Hotel. We sell it here at the center. If you've never read it, we highly recommend you taking a look at that. It's a great tale, and it's one that I certainly would recommend to you. John Kennedy, again, has a deeper history in McKeesport because he returned again in 1962, right in the middle of his presidency, and he came in October of 1962 to campaign for the midterm elections for the local Democrats running for state and federal offices. And right outside of the Daily News building, where, for those of you in McKeesport know, today sits a bronze statue of John F. Kennedy. On that very spot is where President Kennedy did his speech to the masses here in McKeesport. And it is believed, though we cannot officially confirm, but we believe through the research that we've been digging up that Kennedy learned of the beginnings of the Cuban Missile Crisis while he was here in McKeesport. We cannot officially confirm that, but it is there's enough evidence pointing in that direction to President Kennedy being first alerted to these U-2 spy plane photos of Cuban missile sites while he was here in Western Pennsylvania and in McKeesport. And if that's true, that is an absolutely huge story for this town to present. And it's one that we present here in our exhibit. So a couple of the things you'll see here behind me, we have a couple of different campaign buttons for both Kennedy and Nixon. We have a copy of All the President's Men by Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein, of course, discussing the downfall of the Nixon administration. And we also have a memoir of Richard Nixon in the case. We have the series of Look magazine, the Death of the President series written by William Manchester, from interviews with Jackie Kennedy after the president's assassination in November of 1963. And we also have a great picture of President Kennedy with McKeesport Mayor Jackomas. This would have been during President Kennedy's visit in October of 1962. And we have some other cool artifacts on display and photographs. You can see here we have some of the pictures of President Kennedy's visit to McKeesport, and then also a copy of the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette from the day that President Kennedy was assassinated. So this exhibit actually is in its second edition, if you will. When I first started here at the Heritage Center last year in January, this was the very first exhibit that I created, and it was in the lobby. And last summer, as we were shifting our exhibits around and looking for different, more space to tell different stories, we decided that the President's exhibit needed to stay on out on display, and we moved it into this back corner in the boycott room, where it will stay for the foreseeable future, and tells the stories of all the presidents that have impacted the history of Western Pennsylvania, but specifically McKeesport and the Mon Valley. So make sure you come in. You can take a look at some great pictures, some cool artifacts, and really learn some stories that you may not have known about when it comes to the presidents in the Mon Valley, in McKeesport, in Western Pennsylvania. So please stop down to the Heritage Center and take a look through this exhibit. It will be on display for quite some time, but that doesn't mean you need to dawdle. Get in here today and take a look at it. Just a couple of updates on our end. Excuse me. We are still planning to have our volunteer flea market on Saturday, August 29th. That will run from 8 till 3 p.m. The flea market itself will be in the parking lot of the Heritage Center, so you will not have to come inside in an enclosed space. We are going to try our best to socially distance the tables and keep everybody spread out so you can all safely shop and support the center. All the money all the money from the purchases made at the flea market goes directly back to the center. So we highly recommend you coming down, taking a look, and hopefully taking home some good items that will support our mission and support future exhibits, just like this President's exhibit. The cemetery tour, the Living History Tour of the McKeesport and Versailles Cemetery, is still going strong. Tickets are on sale on our website and here at the center. As I said in our previous video, we are trying our best to do this program safely and in accordance with CDC and county guidelines. So we're doing our best to create a trail for the program that will keep everybody spread out and socially distanced. And one of the big things is we are selling time-slotted tickets. So when you go onto our website, if you purchase tickets for the event, be sure you pay attention to what time slot you are purchasing, because that is very, very important to when we expect you at the center or at the cemetery. It's going to be very similar to purchasing a movie ticket. If your ticket is for, say, 2:30 to 3:30, we need you to show up after your 2:30 time slot, not beforehand. That just so we can keep everything safe and socially distanced. So we're going to need your cooperation with that, and we're going to do our best to keep you guys all safe, and that way you guys can still enjoy this program, but do so safely and for the safety of our actors, our staff, and our volunteers. So make sure you check out the website. You can purchase your tickets there, and if you do come to the cemetery, please be aware that we will ask you to wear your mask, and we will ask you to socially distance as best you can within the groups, and we're hoping to keep everybody spread out and work your way through the program within about an hour and a half time frame. So please be ready for that. This Thursday night, we are going to have our final summer speaker series, where Kara Gershke will be cooking from her very own kitchen and showing you different recipes and different dishes that are native to not only Eastern Europe, but right here in the Mon Valley, including halushki, pierogies, and we're even going to discuss the history of the Pittsburgh cookie tables that are very common in local weddings. So be sure you tune in for that. You can sign up for that on our website. That event will not be live simply because Kara is off-site, but it is our hope that it will be live at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening, and Kara will be watching starting at 7 p.m. On Thursday night to answer any questions you may have from her video. She will answer in the comments on Facebook and on YouTube, I hope. Guys, we're doing very well as far as the pandemic is concerned. Please, everybody, stay safe, social distance, wear your mask. The next couple weeks are going to be a very dangerous time with kids going back to school and kids going back to university. So everybody, please stay safe. Wash your hands. If you're not feeling well, stay home. Everybody, just do your best to protect everybody around you. We're trying our best to do that here at the center, not only for the staff and the volunteers, but for you, our guests. So please continue to social distance, wear a mask, and stay safe. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in for another edition of Fireside Chats. If you've missed any of our previous videos, you can find them on our Facebook page and on our YouTube channel. And any summer speaker series are also available on our YouTube channel. So check in on those if you've missed any. And we'll see you in September for some new Fireside Chats. We probably won't have one until after the cemetery tour. So that the first 2 weeks of September, don't plan on a Fireside Chat. Look more for that third week of September for our next Fireside Chat. So stay safe, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.